Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Because today's guest is someone who went from cleaning teeth to cleaning up the content game.
That is good.
This is Marley Jaxx, award-winning filmmaker, YouTube growth maven, and founder and CEO of Jaxx Productions. A few years ago, dental hygienist. In parentheses, yeah, really.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, really.
That's true.
Elbow deep in floss and fluoride, but something shifted.
Elbow deep? I mean, how much space is around these mouths? Okay. Something shifted. What happened? You'll never guess what happened next.
Was there that much floss and fluoride? I don't know.
No, I would say no.
You started posting social media content to kill time between patients, and quietly, quickly, for that fun side hustle, became known for value, strategy, and serious results.
It's true. Wow. ChatGPT found all this?
Yeah.
Wow.
It says you founded the YouTube lead machine with your now husband, Steve J. Larson.
Didn't know it was my now husband?
No, I put that in.
Oh, okay, okay.
I put that in. It put literally, she co-founded the YouTube lead machine alongside Steve J. Larson.
Okay.
With a mission to help entrepreneurs build daily lead generators, living rooms full of video content, business engines that don't depend on hustle alone. Some of your biggest wins: you scaled Jaxx Productions into a 7-figure agency. You've worked with industry leaders, helped businesses convert followers to income streams, and make content that stands out. Here's some fun, lesser-known gems.
Oh, we'll see if they're accurate.
Used to text jokes on patients while doing dental cleanings.
True.
So that's split-tested comedy, folks.
Yep, split-tested comedy. And then the joke would get better throughout the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. When I was a flight attendant, I used to tell jokes on the mic.
I could totally see you doing like a fun performance, like the thing that goes viral on TikTok, like, oh, look at the funny flight attendant.
Yeah, I used to get those thick glasses that we're doing the card thing.
Yeah.
When I was holding up the card, I'd slip them out and put them on, and then and you would see who's paying attention or not.
Were they like the ones with the funny nose and the mustache?
No, just like super, super thick, like
Funny.
Charlie Chan kind of. All right, let me keep going. So you've done a ton. You've been on books. Your earliest videos were shot on an iPhone, propped up on books. But you're not just about showy stuff. You help people place deep value and legacy, and you help people build businesses that don't just explode with virality, but continue to deliver impact. And the way I know you and how I know you, I met you through Steve first, your husband, and I know that you've got this huge YouTube thing, and you've made a massive impact, and you're a super in-demand speaker. And on your personal side, you've got this wonderful heart with a thing for people. And just recently, you wrote a post that got how many millions or thousands of shares?
It's probably around 25,000 shares now, and then another one that did a follow-up had another 20,000, and in the last week, it's reached 22 million people.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
So I finished, I just interviewed your husband for
Yes.
a podcast, and we finished talking about how Charlie Kirk's assassination changed him. Let's start ours with that.
Yeah, okay.
So how has it changed you? And then what was it you wrote that took off?
You know, then when there's those like times in life where you're like, I will always remember where I was in that moment. Like I will always remember where I was when I found out that Charlie Kirk was shot, and seeing the video and just my reaction of like, oh my gosh, humans are not supposed to watch other humans die in such a horrific way on a public stage. And I just like immediately got to my knees and was praying, and it was just like he is such an amazing man who lived his life for Jesus, and for him to be assassinated so publicly for speaking his truth, speaking for what he believes in, for fighting for America, and being such a good man, like father, husband, built such a movement. It was just so devastating, and it's so interesting to see all the people that are affected by it too, and even people that are like, I've never cried so much for someone that I never met or that I didn't know, or people that even just said I didn't know about him until his assassination, and now I'm watching him and I'm crying just as much as if I lost a family member. Yeah. And I think it's that, first of all, just the feeling of how good of a man he was, but then also to feel the loss of someone that was so anointed, that he was following his calling. I've heard it said that like he didn't have a career, he had a calling. The fact that he'd been doing this since 18 years old. Yeah. Didn't go to college, just, I was gonna say all green lights, but I mean, I'm sure there was struggle and resistance along the way, of course, but just like the path was open for him of this is what you are going to do. And I wrote a post and I didn't realize that until someone pointed out to me. They're like, you posted that really quickly. And it must have been within an hour or two of finding out that he had died. I wrote a post that was like a letter for Erica, his wife, because the first thing that came to mind for me was the story of Eliza Hamilton. Have you seen the Broadway play Hamilton? Okay, so there's...
Let me see the movie. I haven't seen it personally.
The movie, yeah, either way, yeah. At the end of the play, you might remember that all of the characters are out on the stage, and the song that they're singing is "Who lives, who dies, who tells your story," and so her part of the song is she's saying, I lived another 50 years. It's not enough. She continued his work. She continued to share his legacy. She was the one who shared what he did. And you know, part of a theme of the musical is also, why do you write like you're running out of time? And like Hamilton did so much in his short amount of time. So did Charlie. And so I wrote this post about the unique weight that the wife of an outspoken and a very determined man holds that no one else will really understand. And now she has been tasked with this unimaginable weight that nobody wants, no one would ask for, but yet she is in a position that I feel that she's been prepared for this. And I also said in it, like, I'm not suggesting what your next move is, because these next steps are unimaginable and there's no script for this. The most important legacy that you could have now is for you to raise your children to be like their father and for them to know their father. But I think about Eliza Hamilton, and I shared how I wrote about this last scene, and in the play Hamilton, the last moment on stage, she looks up at the audience, and the last hum of the last word is kind of like starting to fade out, and she's looking into the audience and she gasps. And it's just like, I have chills thinking about it. Do you know this moment?
No.
Okay, so you're gonna have to, and you'll have this in mind, because a lot of people see this, and she looks into the audience right at this light that is now shining on her, and she gasps. And a lot of people will see that and assume that that is the moment that she enters heaven and meets her husband Hamilton again. But what I believe it is that she breaks the fourth wall and sees the audience looking at her, hearing her story. The last song is "Who lives, who dies, who tells your story." And the whole play of Hamilton, I believe, is actually about Eliza. It's the story of Alexander Hamilton told through Eliza's eyes. I have chills just talking about this. She is on stage more than anyone. She has more songs than anyone, and the last breath, that last gasp, belongs to her because this was her story. So that was basically what my post was about, of like, you are in this unimaginable time. There's no script for this, so whatever you do next, we are with you, and the best legacy you could have is your children. But I also think of Eliza Hamilton and how this play was hers, and the legacy is hers to live. And the world will never forget Charlie Kirk, but heaven and earth will also never forget Erica Kirk.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. Like, we were talking about this earlier today. The clip of her saying, "I forgive him."
Gosh.
That's being a Christian.
Yeah.
That's what changes I once did, it was when I was going through this downtime in my life and I was just reassessing things. I was starting to get back together. And I graphed out for what needs to happen for personal growth. And I had these different islands. And one of the islands was forgiveness. And one of them might be, let's suppose, learning something, right? Everything pointed back to forgiveness. To get anywhere in life, there has to be a forgiving of the past. To get any new relationship that's better, there has to be a forgiving of who you were and who the other person was in a negative old relationship. Everything pointed to that. And then in Christians, we're called to forgive. And just the power of forgiveness is so unbelievably powerful. But my point, and the reason bringing this up, that clip of her is as burned into my memory now as any. I wish I had not seen the video of him getting shot. We're not meant to see that. I wish I hadn't have seen it. And I want that clip of her to be burned. That clip of her is burned brighter into my memory than the other one is.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her message is going to go on. And by the way, I have to give you a thank you in a way. I didn't realize this, but that planted a seed with Betsy, because Betsy and I had a conversation. If I'm going to do this and step to the stage I'm meant to, are we willing to risk me being shot? And it's not what we want, but Betsy looked at me and she goes, babe, I want you to know this. If it does happen, I'm going to continue your work.
What more can you ask? Oh my gosh, like that takes a very strong woman to say that. And that is, I'm sure a lot of women felt that. And women of these strong, outspoken, bold, ambitious husbands, I am one of them as well. And that totally hit me to be like, my husband has a big mission, and am I the woman to be standing beside him on that mission? And there was one time before we even got engaged where he talked about feeling a little bit apprehensive of me seeing him when he's in his like just grit, determined, like that kind of mode, because in previous relationships that was something that felt threatening to others. And he will tell this story a lot of what I said in that moment, because he was like, I'm scared to kind of like go all in and be myself because I don't want it to push you away. And I was like so taken back by that, not realizing that that was some like subconscious context for him. And I said, don't deny me the opportunity of being the one next to you while you do that. I don't want you to hold yourself back. I want to go all the way in with you. And I think that that was something that was just like a breaking of chains that I didn't even realize he had holding him back. And I think I hope that there will be a generation of future marriages that are impacted by Charlie and Erica, seeing what actual partnership looks like when, you know, there's kind of two different marriages that I think I've seen where it's like the quarterback and the cheerleader, or the quarterback and the fullback, that they're both on the field together. And sometimes that's like, and sometimes it's just seasons, you know, sometimes it's like the man is working and the wife is cheerleading. She's not running a business or doing something, but like they're kind of on different fields. Maybe the wife is in a season of the children at that time. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just a different dynamic. And for us, we both came from previous marriages where it was the quarterback cheerleader, but then there was a tension in like values. And here you see Charlie and Erica, that they were building together. They might have had some different phases, seasons where maybe she was like focusing more on the children, but she also had her own businesses. So I would see them as like the quarterback, fullback with what they were building together. And I think it's just inspiring. And one other thing to wrap this up of what she said in her speech last night of like, I wanted home to be a safe place for him to land, that when he was traveling, I never pressured him or made him feel guilty for being out, because what he was doing was his calling, and he would come home and love us and be with us. And I hope that a lot of marriages and relationships are inspired by that. And it seems like there already are. I've seen posts of girls being like, I want a husband like Charlie.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. It's so neat to hear a powerful woman like you who's been super successful on her own talk this way. It is really cool.
I haven't really talked about marriage and relationships as much before. Sometimes we get on these podcasts and like, so tell us what kind of content people should be making. And it's fun to talk about the spiritual, the marriage, like that side.
Totally. Well, that was going to be my next question, though.
Okay.
Actually, we can talk about anything. And I do want to talk to you about some business stuff.
Yeah, of course, yes.
So
that's what we're here for.
The Promised Land podcast, the setup, why we call it that, if a coach or a mentor or someone has a program, where they get their people to, if their people actually show up, do the work, do the internal change, all of that, you get them to their promised land. And so each coaching program has its own promised land. So ours is how to be a speaker who makes a big difference and makes a lot of sales from stage. Someone else's promised land might be how to be super healthy and all of that stuff. What's the promised land of what you do?
First of all, I like that you explained it like that, because it's not just this like tactical, okay, I got on a stage and I sold 6 figures, so now I have money and status. Boom. It's like, what's the promised land? And even just the feeling around those words, it's like there's a depth to it and a transformation to it. So for me, early in my business, I mean, you heard that I went from cleaning teeth to, wait, I can have a business. I could be an entrepreneur. I thought that was for people that went to business school and had these like
really
fancy education. I mean, what I knew about entrepreneurship was watching The Apprentice on TV. Yeah. But anyway, when I kind of got over the first the transformation of like, oh, I can do that. Okay, I can start a business. Okay, I can charge this amount of money, and I can leave my 9 to 5, and that's not actually the safe. Like I believed that, you know, the safety of a 9 to 5, having someone else sign your paychecks.
Yeah.
And I had to dismantle that thought. But then once I got there and started to come into more of like the spiritual meaning behind business, like business is the best game of personal development. It's a spiritual mirror as well. Something that came to me pretty early was like, I build the people that build the businesses that change the world.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, that came to me like a lightning bolt. So that was definitely like, I think that was a God message before I even really knew God.
How do you build the people?
I mean, think about who you have to become. It's probably very similar for you with people on stages. Like, who do you become when you have a microphone in your hand? What is the thing that is worth saying through the speakers? And if you think about, you know, the saying of you are what you eat, you are what you consume in terms of information too. So how is what you share a worthy information diet for the people that are here to listen to you? And also, how do you eliminate everything in your way of getting that out there? Like, it drives me crazy when people are like, oh, I don't know what to say because I'm like scared, and like I might get haters in the comments, and like, what will I do if they hate me? And I'm like, if someone is drowning in the ocean and you have the life preserver, are you really going to be like, oh, well, I don't know if it's the right color, or like if I'm going to throw it far enough, and like if it'll actually make a difference, so I'll just like sit here holding it instead? You just want to like shake people and be like, you have no idea, even if it's one person. And I also love when people are like,
That's so awesome.
I love when people will be like, oh, well, my post only got like 25 likes. Can you imagine if you had 25 people in your living room?
That's a great way to look at that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I'm curious how you're going to answer this question. To get to the promised land, I think you have to have 3 M's in your coaching program. First is magnetize people. That's your marketing message and your marketing methods. That's getting people to be clients. The second M is your methodology that truly makes a difference for them. And that's the how-tos combined with breakthrough. And then the third M is mentor, to be the right mentor. A subset of that is having the right mentor. So magnetize, methodology, mentor. Which of those 3 calls to you the most, or which are you most passionate about sharing a message around?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all hold hands.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
But for me, it's magnetize. Because I also think I feel like it would probably be the same for you. Like, when you're on a stage, what is the thing that gets people to stop and say, look in this direction? And a very common, I mean, part of my brand is to be disruptive. And when we talk about disruption, it's like, where is attention currently going? That it would be a worthy disruption to move their attention to something better.
Ooh. Oh, that's a lovely way to think about it.
I mean, look at how much people are addicted to social media. And I mean, I am, this is actually something I'm currently working on in my coaching and therapy, is I can doom scroll, and I have to put containers, like impenetrable containers around my unfortunate habits of doom scrolling. And I'm like, I need a disruption for that. And so what is something that is going to be just as rewarding for me, but healthier, more productive? And so the same thing with content of like, what are the current, so as marketers, our stories have to be better than our audience's stories.
Yeah.
And the stories is the junk up here. So like, why am I not good enough to get on a stage and share my message? Well, let me tell you a story about this person that did it. That person was me, etc. I mean, insert any kind of story that's going to help them to become who. And often you are speaking to like your before picture.
Yes.
And so to tell someone like, you're in your before picture right now, and the after picture that you're looking for is going to be the hopeful transformation that other people want to make. You just have to take those first steps.
I love that. So, so where is your business going now? Because I know you've been doing YouTube for years. Where are you heading to now? What's the focus now?
Yeah, well, Steven and I put our businesses together at the beginning of the year. We got engaged on January 1st. January 2nd, we're basically building the same thing under one roof. So like, let's put them together. So it was funny because I had a mastermind called A-Lister, which is teaching people how to like.
Love that name.
Yeah, I thought it was a great name. One of my clients was like, you should take that name. She teaches actors and stuff. I was like, that's perfect for you. So A-Lister became Titans of Industry. So people can check out Titans of Industry, and that's our mastermind. Steven has a very specific skill set with like helping SaaS companies scale and to be able to acquire customers at break even. My expertise is not necessarily in like the funnels and the tech stuff, but in like the branding, the messaging, the content. What I grew up in the world of YouTube has translated so well into not just YouTube, but short form content, long form content, written content. And I have a program called the Content Game where it's 30 days. And I wanted to turn content into a game, because if something feels like a chore, you're never going to do it.
Yeah.
Not consistently.
Yeah.
And I created this motto for myself: the more I play, the more I get paid. I love it.
I love that. Yeah.
Especially because for me, that was another thing I had to rewire. That was some of the old stories that I had to let go of, because I grew up with nothing worth having comes easy, and success requires struggle, and you have to do the crappy stuff first before you can get your reward. And so I lived a lot of my life that way, of like, I have to eat my vegetables before I can have my dessert. Okay, there might be some logic to that. But like, I can't do the enjoyable things until I've suffered enough in the hard work.
Yeah.
Well, the hard work never freaking ends. And so I wanted to find a way to do content in a way that is actually fun and enjoyable.
Can you pause on that for a second?
Yeah.
I want to let that sink in for me. Yeah.
Nothing
The
against
hard work in business never, there is no, I used to think, all right, we do $1 million event and then we hit it, we got it, it's going to be easy from there. That is not, the hard work doesn't end.
Next.
So because it doesn't end, you let yourself do what? And enjoy it as you go, play as you go?
Yeah.
Is that, am I saying
The
it
more I
right?
play, the more I get paid.
So instead of focusing on the hard work until the hard work's over, you're focusing on play.
Can you do work that feels like play? Because you know, also the saying of like, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And it's like, yeah, that's cute. I love what I do. Even though you're actually like, oh, this freaking work, it never ends. Like, I don't actually like this. And that's what gets people stuck in their zone of excellence instead of their zone of genius. Do you know the difference?
Mm-hmm. But go ahead and say it for the...
So the zone of genius is the stuff where it's like you're in flow state, time just like completely goes away. It's you and the work that you are doing that like doesn't feel like work. And zone of excellence is stuff that like you might be good at and you might kind of enjoy, but it's not actually the calling, the purpose, the thing that you are here to do. Because like I can write emails, but is that actually what I'm meant to be doing? That like, look at Charlie Kirk, you know for sure he got to heaven and got the well done, good and faithful servant. Yeah. But if he was like, well, I got to make sure that my accounting is set up properly and it'll only take me 2 hours, I'll just do it myself. Do you think that he would have actually reached his calling?
No, never.
No. So it's like we get stuck in these things of, well, I have to do this myself if I want it done right, or I'll just do this until I can outsource it when I make enough money. But like, wait, what if you actually just did the thing that actually feels like play to you and is the zone of genius, and you think that would magnetize everything that you need to continue fulfilling that purpose? I think so.
Okay, so I kind of interrupted your flow. Where were we going? Where were we going? Because that was, I wanted to let that sink in for me, because I could say in my business, I'm at a transition point where these conversations, I realize I'm getting so much value out of these conversations on the podcast. It's like so stuff fun that I need in my business, and I know other coaches do too.
Yeah.
And it's just great. So you were talking about the content game and playing.
So I because I hear so much from people like, oh, I hate content and like content's a chore, and I used to feel that way. But I also, when I first started, when I was a dental hygienist, I was just posting on the internet for fun. I was like making up stories about our office goldfish or what the dental hygienist made. And it was just fun because there wasn't like this attachment to hard work around it.
Yeah.
It was just, I'll just post something that's funny or that I enjoy. Like if you aren't creating your own content and marveling at it, that you're like, that was hilarious or that was a banger. Ooh, I would click on that link if that were me. Because you make content for yourself first and then express it. That's art. Like when you go into a museum, whatever, the artist created from their own expression.
Yes.
And that's what also makes people feel it too.
Yes.
So anyway, I created a system that turns content into a game. And it basically is, have you ever done or heard of 75 Hard?
Yeah.
It's brand new.
I did 29 days.
Right. I did some of 75 Hard. Me too. I've never.
75 medium-ish.
Right. 29
medium.
Mediocre. So for anyone that doesn't know what it is, 75 Hard is like this mental toughness challenge where there's just 5 things that you repeat every day. You work out every day. I think it's also twice a day. One of them has to be outside. you drink a gallon of water, you read 10 pages of a book, you take a before after picture of yourself or a progress picture, something like that. And people love this, whether they finish it or not, because it's like this challenge. It's consistency. And by the end of it, whether they make it to the full 75 days or not, they've grown in some kind of a way. So I was like, how can I do something that's just like a consistent, here's just the 5 simple things to do every day, like 75 hard, but let's make it easy and fun. And so I call it the content game, and it's a 5-step revenue routine. That's like, you just do these 5 things every day. And one of them is post content, but I will tell you exactly what to post. I will give you the prompt. I'll tell you how to get the content. A lot of the times it's just like you brain dumping, and then I'll give you the prompt for ChatGPT to turn it into a Netflix kind of prompt. And that's, people are like, how did you, a lot of my content, like even the stuff that just got 22 million views, is me talking into my recorder, putting it into ChatGPT, having it clean it up. And people will get so wrapped up in like, well, I don't know what to say. Ramble, go on a walk, look at that tree, tell me what's on your schedule. Somewhere in there, you'll find a thread that you can follow and turn that into content. And so that's just one example, but like every day I give them, here's the kind of content to create today. Here's the call to action to use. And we have people that are getting leads and sales on day 1, on week 1. Like I've never had something that's gotten testimonials so quickly. And I think the reason why is because I'm playing as I created it. This is what I wish that I had, that I needed when I got stuck in like, wait, why am I not enjoying content anymore? I'm the content person. And it's because I got swept up, and this was years ago, I got swept up in like trying to get more views and more subscribers and like the vanity metrics instead of what do I enjoy connecting with people over.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, gosh, there's so much to unpack in that. So many different thoughts I have.
I know, I'm just rambling and we're
it's great.
It's fun.
By the way, you had shared about one of the masterminds that came to Titans about how you use ChatGPT, and I'd never really used it. I was like, oh. And since then, I don't know if I told you this, but we have someone on our team does AI. We're having her build out stuff so we can actually certify people in different areas of speaking and selling and other things. And we built out an AI tool to write presentations.
Good.
And you'd speak into it. And I had a chapter for a book due, and I was like, oh, I don't want to write this chapter.
Yeah.
And I had a flight, and I'm like, I'll write it on this flight because I'll be sitting still. And I was like, wait, we have this AI tool. I'm going to use it.
Wait a minute.
It literally in the instructions, the person who wrote it put just ramble, talk out loud into it. And I did. And what it wrote, I told it to tweak the thing instead of a presentation. It's going to be a chapter in a book. I was like in tears. It was so good. It was awesome.
A lot of times I will use these prompts and I'll be like, I said that? I'm a genius. Like you're just taking your own stories and then letting ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you use to kind of just clean it up. But it's still your words. And it almost feels like cheating because it's so easy, but it's just, I mean, it's the same thing as like, would I do math by hand or would I use a calculator? Like it allows you to be more creative instead of having to get stuck in this like content grind where people are banging their head against the wall because they're like, oh, I don't know what to talk about today, or I don't know what to post that's going to create profit. Well, I do. And you do too if you just ramble it out and then ask ChatGPT to zhuzh it.
To zhuzh it.
Zhuzh it. That's my favorite.
I don't know how you spell zhuzh, but it makes you
Oh,
zhuzh
I do.
it.
That's actually a funny talk. Steve and I were like, how do you spell zhuzh? And we've had like debates over this. I think it's ZHUZH. We should ask ChatGPT, how do you spell
That's exactly
zhuzh?
where I'm going to.
Yeah.
How do you spell zhuzh? Like zhuzh it out. Oh no, she thinks I'm saying judge.
Oh.
No, and I'm not going to take the time to put it in audio mode.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, there's a winery here in Boise called Juju.
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 Well, I'm gonna have to go check it out.
It's just adjacent to Zhuzh. So, so is this your main thing you're doing now? And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes when I put a ton of work into a project, when it's over, I'm like, I don't want to talk about that for a while. But you're disrupting a whole nother industry now.
Oh,
is that still part of what's
So you're
going
talking
on?
about the wedding.
Yeah.
So for backstory, we sold tickets to our wedding, and you came and you sponsored it. Thank you so much. It means so much to us, and was like obviously one of the best days of my life.
Yes.
But yeah, we sold tickets to our wedding. We also had a charity aspect at the wedding. So sometimes it went crazy viral. Like it was on People magazine and New York Post and morning show in Australia and BuzzFeed and CNN, CBS, NBC. I'm like forgetting more of them. It was all over the world. Like I got messages from people that lived in Italy that were like, I just saw this, crazy. A lot of the the headlines also got misconstrued a little bit, which we can talk about later. It's kind of funny, but
Yeah,
like, that's how
because I
people
got
do.
some looks from people, and I said I'm sponsoring a wedding, like, huh? And some of the people like closest to me on my team just did not get it. But so I'll tell the story the way
Great.
I heard it.
Okay.
So Betsy and I, my wife and I, we got married just 4 years ago. So December 2021. So just coming up on 4 years. And the pink tax is real. And people listening don't know what a pink tax is. If you're gonna rent a meeting space, like if we called up places for the wedding, we said, hey, yeah, we want to be renting your space. Oh, what's it for? We said, oh, we're gonna have a party, $1,000. But if we called that same place and said, oh, we're having a wedding, $3,000, $4,000. And so, what was it that put you guys over the edge? The cake cutting?
Yeah. So we went to this one venue here, beautiful place, and they had a line item on their quote for a $650 cake cutting fee, just to cut the cake. And I've since been educated by other vendors that they're like, do you know how much work it is to cut a cake? And I'm like, just at least wrap it up into a different fee, because that's just outrageous. I was like, are you going to cut it with a lightsaber or like
It's
make
not
a show?
$650 worth unless you've got whatever.
Yeah.
Even if you had 650 people at your wedding and you had that big of a cake, it doesn't cost $1 a slice to cut it and plate it.
Yeah. And they're like, well, then you got to do the dishes, and it's a lot of effort, and it's fine. I support the vendors, and it's funny, we also got backlash from other people that are like, you need to support, a lot of these vendors are like bleeding hearts and they're not charging enough. I'm like, well, that's a problem, and I can help you with that so you can still be more profitable from your wedding, but you also don't need to have like these outrageous fees.
Don't charge more for the same thing just because you can. And don't take advantage of people is my attitude.
Yeah.
Like, let's go give everybody an amazing deal that's super profitable, that delivers great value.
And all of our vendors made more money than they would have if I just paid them, because I also, whether I gave them connections or whether I did some social media or marketing or Steve built a funnel for them, they got a better trip. So for example, the venue that we rented, it was beautiful, Honolulu Farm, absolutely beautiful here in Boise. And I started doing some of his social media, and I also fixed up his like Google listing and his website, and we're setting up some of his GHL like automated booking, things like that. So certainly what is easy to me, that is my skill set, is certainly worth more than what I would have paid. But also because I started doing his social media, he's like, I started getting inquiries on day one. Because when I look, I knew the venue was there because we live close to it, but his social media hadn't been posted on since 2022. So I was like, are you guys still open? Yeah, we do. But no one knows if there's no up-to-date content. So I certainly helped him get more bookings from just my one day, and we did a trade.
Yeah, so the way I think about it was, so the way I understand it, you guys are like, screw this, let's figure out a way to monetize this. This is my brain, the way I heard it, or at least have it pay for itself. And that takes me back to when I got married, and you guys are adults, meaning I don't know how old you are, it doesn't matter, but you're already very successful, you're doing very well, this for both of you is a second marriage. You're not 18-year-olds or maybe young 20-year-olds just getting started. So like when Betsy and I got married, I'm like, do we even need to have a registry? I don't need a toaster.
Yeah.
Anything we want, we probably have it already. I would rather, and I remember thinking, I would rather have people just give us $50 or $100 to pay for their ticket to the event, as opposed to us having to pony up all this money for a big reception and all this other stuff. And we wound up doing ours at a local brewery that our friends owned, and the guys who happen to be chefs were just brilliant. They did this super cool. They're like, we're gonna make you lasagna, but it's gonna be super fancy. We're using squid ink to make it dark and all that. They were brilliant, right? It wound up being great. But I remember thinking like, we're not young kids who need help. And so I think for what you're doing, I think it could help the younger people so they don't go into debt for sure. But like, so the way I heard it was, instead of asking people to buy you something, you just pay your own way to the thing.
Exactly. And some of the backlash online was like, well, if you can't afford a wedding, you shouldn't be getting married. And it's like, that wasn't the point at all. It was reversing something, and again, trying to disrupt something that has been, I mean, weddings are transactional. They have been since people traded cows for brides. Yes. Like, and we are talking about an industry that really hasn't changed much since then. That people, they have to pay this pink tax, and often it's the bride's family that has to pay for everything because of some tradition. My parents were like, no, that was never even on the table. Again, second marriage is not even a thing. But for us, when I made a post about the $650 cake cutting fee, and my comments flooded with like, yeah, I had to pay $30 for a charger plate, not even including the food, like all these things. And my next post was, I don't understand why people don't just charge tickets for a wedding, because then instead of a toaster, or you were typically going to bring $100 per guest anyway. Just pay the ticket up front, and then you actually know who's coming. You don't have to go out of pocket. And if couples make a profit that they can put towards their honeymoon or a down payment on their house, amazing.
Yeah.
And for a couple that I love and want to support, I wouldn't even question it. But strangers on the internet, of course, will think that it's selfish and like not understand the story behind it. And the ticket there were two options. There was $57 that was like just to come to the wedding, and that covers your meal, which some people are like, that's the cheapest wedding I've ever been to. I talked to someone, she's like, I paid $3,500 for her cousin's wedding because she's like, was a bridesmaid. You got to get the dress, and then you have to go travel and gift and all these other, and then there's the bridal party, the bachelor party, whatever. And then there was also a $1,000 option, which was a 3-day event where we had, the day before we had a relationship retreat kind of day where we brought in relationship experts. We had the rehearsal dinner that you sponsored. We had the wedding day, and then we had a biohacking brunch the next day where we also had health optimization experts, brain optimization, drum circle, and red light, and all these cool things. So it was like a full kind of retreat experience, which tons of people were like, this was the best wedding I've ever been to. And the fact that people bought a ticket that they, like, some people said because you knew that everyone who was there wanted to be there. Sometimes people get an invitation to a wedding and they're like, I feel obligated to go.
Yeah.
If you actually take your wallet out and purchase a ticket for $57, which is likely less than a night out if you go to a restaurant or go to a show or a movie or whatever, the people there wanted to be there. It was very intentional.
We had a great time. It was awesome. And you leveraged it out too. You did fundraising as well, which I thought was just brilliant.
Yeah.
What if every wedding did this?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we raised $132,000 and more even since, but by the end of the weekend it was $132,000 for Village Impact, one of our favorite charities.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I thought it was fantastic. I'm sure it will catch on with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, the next piece is now to turn this into something that can become common, which it's funny to look at that and think like, okay, before Uber was out, there were some, protests against Uber. When Airbnb came out, it's like, oh, staying in a stranger's home, and now it's just normal. Or it's just another option. It's like, sure, you can have your own wedding, or you can sell tickets to a wedding and turn it into an experience. Maybe it sparks a little entrepreneurial bug in couples, which I think is amazing for couples to do business together. It's not for everyone, but I think it's a great learning experience, if anything else. But to turn this into a movement and turn this into something that can actually spread, I think I have to go to the wedding planners and the wedding businesses, because to go to brides individually will be a tougher, they're not event planners, they're not funnel builders or marketers, so I think I got to go to certify the actual wedding planners to have them, and I think it's a great biz op for them. And
if they can show the couple, hey, here's how you can not spend as much money on the wedding, or break even, or even make money.
Totally.
It's great. So and you talked about, some people might say, oh, if you can't afford a wedding, there's a big difference between throwing a wedding and getting married. And there's a ton of research. I remember when I was single, I read this research, and it said that there's an inverse relationship between how much people spend on a wedding and the quality of the marriage. And the people who spent the less actually had a better quality long-term marriage than people who spent a ton. And there was three I think things. It was having a wedding, it was going, which meant a gathering of friends and family that came together to witness the union. There was that one. There was going on a honeymoon, and I don't remember the third. It might have been, I don't remember if it was buying a ring or something, but it was those three metrics. When people hit those three, the success and quality of their marriage. So is a bit part of your big bandwidth right now that you're putting into your business, or where are you really focusing right now?
As of right now, I can't do it yet. We just became co-owners in AI Marketing World. That's coming up in October. It might be a Q1 thing. I definitely need Steven's help with like the funnel, the system, getting it together. It's funny though, I got a message from an investor that just saw it on social media that he was like, hey, I'm interested in this. He's like, I actually had this idea when I got married. And so we had a call, and he was interested, and well, we'll see if it goes anywhere. I would love help in putting it together. So
that's awesome.
We'll see.
So let's go back to totally left turn of the conversation.
Yeah.
Jokes you would tell when you were a dental hygienist. What were your favorites? Do you remember? Do you remember any of those?
I think it was just my stories. Like it was, okay, so at the time when I was a dental hygienist, I lived with my 86-year-old grandfather. And so I often had stories about Guido, and we called them Guido stories. Guido is Ukrainian, so my grandfather. Guido, and Baba, his grandmother, she'd already passed, but I lived with my 86-year-old Guido. And so often the stories were just about him. Like, I would come home and he would be cooking a pizza, but he'd be cooking it like just right on the stovetop. Like, he wouldn't put it in the
oven. Yeah.
There's so many things that I would come home and be like, oh my, like cleaning up after Guido. What's going on? Why do you have this here? Or like I'd come home and he wouldn't be there, and I'd be like, where? And he's like up in a tree somewhere because he loved his apple tree, and so we'd be picking apples. But I'm like, you can hardly get from the bedroom to the kitchen. Why are you in the tree? Like, just funny stories that were just my real life stories that I would tell, but I would be able to kind of tweak them and optimize them for the best laughs by the end of the day.
What made you want to get laughs?
Well, I was bored. I hated hygiene. I was so, even from dental hygiene school, I knew that I did not belong there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What made you do it?
Safety, mom, encouragement of just stability. Gotta do.
I have a degree
success
in
requires
accounting
struggle.
and finance.
Yeah, right. Like, and I can't imagine that for you because that's so, it seems black and white and boring, and you're a very creative person. Look at the stories that you can tell from stage and how you can light people up.
Yeah.
You behind a spreadsheet would be a disservice to the world. You behind a face mask and gloves and scalers would be awful.
So you were bored.
Oh, so bored. And even from dental hygiene. Like, so when I was in school, I first started at University.
Awesome.
I first started at University of Alberta in Edmonton, where I'm from.
Oh, that's right. You're Canadian. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then I found a school in Toronto where I could finish it in 18 months. So I moved across the country, which is probably one of the best things for me. Like, to live in a different place. And Toronto is like the New York of Canada. So I loved being in the big city. But my parents didn't know that while I was in school, in this accelerated program that you're like in 12 classes at a time, plus working in a clinic so you can get your hours and like working on patients to learn how to do this in practice, I was also in like acting classes and singing lessons, and I was working in radio. And meanwhile, these other hygienist girls are like pulling their hair out because it was an advanced program. Like, we were taking so many classes. And that's where I also learned that I have a photographic memory and I could just like look at the textbooks and read them. But like, I did pretty well on the tests while they were just agonizing over studying. And I think it's because I didn't care as much that I just got by. And I got good grades, but I was more passionate about my extracurriculars, and the hard work was like something that I just had to do to check a box, that like I did it good enough so that I could pursue the passions. But in school, like, I wasn't really trying to make friends because the dental hygienists are like a really interesting species. They're obsessed with teeth, and they're girly girls, at least the ones in my school. And it's a classroom of there were like 3 boys in our class of like 40 or 50 girls. And yeah, when I graduated, it was like, I graduated and I got a job working like 2 days a week in a clinic, and the rest of the time I worked in radio and television. Until then, I actually had a blog at the time, like a blogspot blog that I wrote in every single day. And that was also part of my creative outlet when I was in dental hygiene school. And it was just for me. I was writing to write stories of the things that were happening in my day and the things that I was interested in. And it also got my mind to just like look for stories and be creative. It's funny, I haven't thought about this in a long time. And someone who found my blog was friends with someone that worked at like an event company in Toronto, and they had a position open, and they're like, oh, you should hire this girl from this blog. I don't even know how like she recommended me for an event job that I'd never worked in events before. But the company was called The Art Of, and they had these conferences all over called The Art Of Sales, The Art of Marketing, The Art of Leadership. Yeah. And I was working with people like Patrick Lencioni and Gary Vee, and like these, Scooter Braun was a speaker for us once. Like big names that are all on my shelf now, but I was like 20 years old and had no idea, but I was just like, oh, I love this. I get to be creative and work on stages and events. And I was often the person, running them to their hotel and making sure that their books were out and making sure that they were on stage on time. And Scooter Braun, who's Justin Bieber's manager at the time, used my lip chap, and I was like, I should sell this on eBay. Oh, I said lip chap. That's you call it lip balm here.
Or chapstick.
That was Canadian. Could you tell what I meant though?
Yeah.
The kids make fun of me. They're like, your Canadian's showing.
I thought maybe you just had a brain slip. So you guys actually call it lip chap?
Well, that's the funny thing is I call it lip chap, and I said to my mom once, I was like, that's so Canadian, right? She goes, no, I think you're the only person that calls it lip chap. So I don't know.
That's funny. So you said you like the big city.
I love the big city.
How do you handle Boise?
I also love Boise, but I never of all places.
Right.
Like, I should not have ended up here. It was not in the plan. I love telling the story. People, I always get a laugh from this. I didn't mean to the first time, but I was like, oh, that's a good joke. Okay, I'll continue it. So here's me optimizing for jokes.
Yeah.
I tell this story of Joseph in the Bible, that he had to go to Egypt because that's where his purpose was. But he was comfortable at home with his brothers, and he was even favored there. So like, why would he have broken everything in his life to go to Egypt, even if he felt like God was telling him to, maybe through his dreams? But he had to go through the betrayal and the heartache and the imprisonment to finally find his way to Egypt. And so for me, and I think we all have these stories of like being heartbroken and betrayed, and I certainly did through my divorce and other things that fell out from that brought me to my Egypt, which was Boise.
That's awesome.
Boise ended up being my Egypt.
I never thought I'd be here either.
Yeah.
We now say if you want to change the world, you come to Boise, Idaho for speaker training.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many great people here, and
It's
there's a
growing
magic
so
here.
much.
Yep. There's places that just, I don't know if it's energy lines, magic in a bottle, I don't know what it is, and Boise has that right now.
Yeah.
And the people that are here are changing the world.
It's going to keep growing. I also read that so Star, Idaho, that's close to us, was going to be a movie set.
Really?
I don't know if that's, I read it once, maybe.
All right, so we've got, I'm going to rapid fire you questions.
Love it.
As we can
Okay.
take the whole thing. So you mentioned Egypt and in the story of Joseph. How has your faith carried you through the hard times? How does it guide your business, and how does it give you a strategic advantage?
So I only found God like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And now, Stephen and I say this, like, let God be our business partner. That like we pray about decisions that we make, and we feel like we pay attention to when we feel led to certain things. And so now it's kind of just, it's so crazy to think like I lived so much of my life without that.
Isn't it amazing?
But God was there the whole time, even though I didn't know him. And now it's like you can connect the dots backwards to see where he was showing up, even though I didn't know how to name it.
I don't know how people who don't have God get through the rough times. Like, it's amazing you got through the times you got through.
Well,
It's amazing I did.
they look at, they think it's their own control that I think can also create more stress, because if you feel that you're your only provider, that's a lot of stress on you.
I had learned some of the new age stuff. We do create our worlds in a lot of ways, and we create our experience of our world. And yet I've been this taught, kind of like the law of attraction, like it's everything and it's all you. And my life started to fall apart. I was like, oh my gosh, my life's falling apart. I must be even worse than I thought. And I just was bashing myself for what was happening, which that we do have personal responsibility, and we're not God.
Yeah.
And things happen outside of us, and thank God for that.
Yep.
If you were going to give someone like a hardcore tip on speaking, sales, mindset, marketing, business, what would you want to leave them with?
Be obsessed, because obsession is contagious. And that's like the number one, I think, business quality to have. The example I give from stage when I teach this is like, you know, those restaurants that you would get on the wait list months in advance for, or you would line up down the block because like the chef that runs that restaurant is like world renowned. They're obsessed with just the right amount of sauce and seasonings, and they grow their own herbs in their garden for the specific ingredients. And it's like that level of obsession, people see that and they want to be a part of it. They want to get a taste of that. Meanwhile, you can compare it to like the line order cook or whatever that's like looking at the clock and I gotta get these burgers out so I can go home and watch Netflix. Like, we don't want that. But when you are obsessed with what you do and that you don't stop, that you have to be loud enough, long enough for people to really get what you do. You can't just post about something once and be like, hey, I have the best speaker training in the world. Well, I told them. Why aren't they coming to me? Because you're not obsessed. You have to be so obsessed that they know it, because you are just, it is emanating from you.
I love it. How can people find you? And thanks so much for coming on. This has been awesome.
So fun. We should do this more.
Yes.
Instagram, YouTube, and Instagram Marley Jaxx, and I respond to my own DMs. You can always DM me there. It's never a VA. Some people are like, is this actually you? And I'll send a picture like, hi, it's actually me.
Yeah, you said that before.
Always.
You must get so many DMs.
I will never, I've like fought my team over it. They're like, well, you know, we can set more appointments and stuff. And I'm like, I can do that too. I don't even care if I'm slower. I also do talk to text, so I think I'm pretty quick at responding to my messages. But I think it's funny, like there's a big name that we know that someone responds to all of their comments too. And I get that it's good for like engagement to see lots of comments, but you know that they're not sitting in their office responding to their Instagram comments all the time. And so it's like, it's not even authentic. So I don't engage with their content because I know that there's no point.
And yesterday during the memorial for Charlie Kirk, one of his friends, one of the guys that worked with him said that Charlie would go in there.
He read all of his emails.
That's a hallmark, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. You rock, Marley. So if you're looking, find Marley Jaxx with 2 X's. They can just Google you and find you. Is that what you want them to do?
Yeah, and YouTube, I put out new trainings on YouTube every week as well.
Awesome. You're awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks for joining me today on To the Promised Land podcast. If you're ready to grow your impact, master your message, and become the kind of speaker people can't ignore, head on over to our website, to thepromisedlandpodcast.com. That's where the real transformation begins. The links are all in the description.